Hello, my friends, and welcome to 5 things that will dramatically improve your art and artistic skill. My name is Olivio. I'm a professional designer from Vienna, Austria. Let's get started. This is a behind the scenes episode. I usually do them as a reward for my patrons. I do one every 10 days, but once in a while I do one public, so to remind you that those are also out there. You can get them if you support my channel. And because the end of the year is nearing, I want to give you some great tips on how to improve your art in 2019. So the first thing that I want to suggest to you, and that was a lecture that was really hard for me to learn, and I struggle with it still every day, is to do. Don't look back, don't fear, don't get too concerned, don't overthink it. Just do something. And if you think right now, most of that will be crap and it will not be worth doing and it will end up being not what you wanted in the first place, that is okay, because every artist on this planet, even the best ones, go through this. You have to go through a lot of shit and crap to go and get the good things. Because even if you're really skilled, even if you're really good at what you're doing, there is a very high chance what you're doing, the result will only be mediocre. And this we can see every day in our lives if we look at the best artists, the best people who make movies and photographs and music and art and all these different things. A lot of the things that they do are not really that good. They are high quality because they are very skilled after years of training, but artistically they are not very interesting, but they publish them anyway and they get rewarded for them anyway because at least it's something, and you can't expect every work to be amazing. And the good thing about just doing things without overthinking it is that it will automatically improve your skill. And one thing I want to maybe crack a myth here. If you learn a skill, this skill is not going to stay with you. You have to train every single day of your life, because if you're not doing something for 1 week, you have to spend another week to train back the skill to the height you already have, and then you are back at that point, and from that point on you can improve again. So putting down your stuff for time will punish you, no matter how long the time is. So do something every day, no matter how little it is. Just do it. It might be crappy, but you have something to look at. You have a reference point from which you can say, I like this, I didn't like that. You can show it to your friends, you can show it to fellow artists. They can tell you something about it. It is really good process, and I know it's hard and I know it's troubling, and you still have to do it. And over a time, when you get accustomed to it, to doing this all the time, you really enjoy it. You come back to it, you know that your skill is good enough that you at least get what you thought you wanted to get, even if the artistic part is not the best. But you improve and you see yourself improve, and this is really worth it. So the next point is time, and this is really very much related to the first point. Time is very important because the way our brain works is that when we do something, we are that much included in it that we can't really see it anymore. We lose the sensibility to judge it rightly. So the important thing is to do a lot of stuff every day and then lock it away. Put it in a drawer, put it in a folder, put it somewhere. And then after some time, maybe a week or a month or half a year or however long you want to wait, you come back and look at that work with a fresh eye, with your changed and improved skills and changed and improved artistic understanding. And the thing that's going to happen at that point in time is that some of the works will feel alive to you. They will speak to you. They will be interesting to you. They will be rewarding, refreshing. You will get energy from them. And the other works might not be that. They might be dead and uninteresting and not worth looking at. And from this, you can see that there is a difference in your work, and you can learn from these experiences on looking back, bending back on your own history and learning from yourself from a time when you had less skill and less artistic understanding, but often by accident or by trying or by being less fearful or by not understanding something yet, you did something that is better than the thing that you can do right now, and you can learn from that. So you know this saying where someone says, he didn't know it, so he did it anyway. This is what it means. Sometimes you just don't know, and because you don't know, you are able to do something that is better than something that you could do with skill and experience. But it is an accident, and an accident is never good, because what you want to have to be a professional or to be an artist is the repeatability. Did I pronounce that right? You want to be able to repeat this and not have it an accident. You want to have control over it. So time is very important for you to look back at your work. So don't throw away bad works right away. Keep them for some time, even if you don't like them. Often I come back to my own works, even works that are so bad that I use them as sketches where I note other stuff on them because I just see them as garbage. But then I come back months later and I think, wow, this is really interesting because it's so trashy and so different, but it's at the same time, because at that moment I didn't care about it anymore. I was free to doodle on it and try different materials and try different things. And with my sound project, I do a lot of things, sound and writing and painting and, so because I didn't care, I was free to experiment with it, and from the experimentation, something came that's even more interesting than when I'm concerned to do it right. So that is also an interesting factor of time. Let's go to the next point, and that point is copy and collect. And I know so many artists who think it is a good thing to not be influenced by other artists because they have this thing in their mind, this error in their mind where they think creativity means that it is something that you came up with on your own. And you couldn't be any more wrong about what art is and what an artist is. Because artists are collectors and filters and enhancers and embracers of all the things that happen in the world every day, all the culture, all the people, all the trivial and meaningless shit that's happening every day is taken by artists and formed into something where, like when you take olive and press out the essences and the oil, you get something that is really good from something that might not be as good before. Maybe an olive is the wrong example. Let's take a orange peel. You wouldn't eat an orange peel. There is not much you can do with it, but when you press it, you get some oil, and this oil is amazing. So this is what artists do. So your main task should not be to be alone and try to think up things on your own. Your main task should be to copy and to collect as much as you can. And if you think copying other artists or copying other ideas is wrong, then you are wrong, because you can't show me a single artist in the history of mankind who wouldn't go out to look at other artists and copy their stuff, come back with those ideas to his studio, and then create some new stuff. All the classic big names that all the modern artists are doing that. Even when you look at modern culture, like stuff like sampling, for example, is a reference. We take a copy, literally a copy of something as a sample and create new art from that. So copying ideas, taking ideas from others and improving upon them is the very core essence of what art is. So you should do that, and you should collect this. And right here in the picture, you have a little notebook. So of course you can take notes in whatever format you want. Some want to write, some want to draw, some want to take photos, some want to take recordings, whatever it is, do it. and do it every day and do it at every moment. So the good thing is today with our smartphones, if you have a smartphone, you can take and collect everything all day long, and you can even categorize it and upload it and make collections and archives of it and come back to it. So this is a really, really good thing. And I really want to invite you to copy and collect as much as you can, because this is going to improve your art. If you see a nice poster or a nice design or hear some nice music, make a recording of that, take it back to your studio and try to learn from it, analyze it, and you can even search online for people who deconstructed. If it's a famous work, there is probably someone who deconstructed it, like the soundtrack of a movie, or how a certain scene was done, or how the makeup was created, or what kind of clothing they were wearing. Or there's a lot of people who deconstruct a lot of different things. So you can really get in that and get it analyzed by experts or people who know a little bit more about it than you do. So that's important. Okay, let's go to the next point. That is friends. And this is another thing. I know a lot of artists like to be alone, myself included. I am not really a social person. I don't really like to go out. But friends are still important. Other people are still important. And you can see from the picture what I'm getting at is that they are the puzzle pieces to your puzzle, to your artwork. And this is important because your mind is extremely limited to the experiences you have made throughout your life, but other people have made other experiences, and they have other emotions, and they have other thoughts and beliefs and wishes and visions and all these kind of things. So they can help you with that. And they can also help you with different equipment and the experience they have with the equipment. So this is also very important to talk about these things, exchange these things, experiment with each other on their artworks, jam or like artistically work with each other is really important to get these infusions of new ideas and new perspectives. And a thing that I want to point out is select your friends a little bit carefully. So I would go for people who are able to provide you with solutions and constructive input and positivity and energy and embracing the world, outgoing personalities who really want to create something. They might be hidden under a layer of social, like not being very social like a lot of other artists. So you might have to go through that layer to get to the person behind that curtain. But there's a lot of interesting people out there. I would really suggest you stay away from the naysayers who always like, yeah, this is a bad idea. You can't do that. Everything sucks. I can't sell my art, blah, blah, blah. All these criers you find out there who only complain about their life and how bad everything is. They don't help you. They just drag you down with it. And maybe they don't even want the help, because there is a lot of help out there and a lot of it is free. You can get a lot of help on YouTube and other pages on the internet on how to get success and ideas and creativity, like my channel, for example. So today there is really no excuse to say, I don't know what to do. I don't know where to go. I don't know who to meet or what to look at, because a million billion peoples out there are going to tell you every day what would be good choices, and you can learn from them. And a lot of them are very achieved artists, so or at least professionals. So you can take their advice, maybe adapt them as your mentors if you really like what they say. You don't have to, but you have a choice of really good people. So go to the positive people, go to the people who create something, who are active, who want to change something, and not the whiners and naysayers and depressed people. And if you're one of the naysayers, really think about where you are in your life and in your time and the possibilities, because you always have a chance to do things. Nobody is holding you back. The only thing that's holding you back is your own self and the voices in your mind. Because if people, even in a dictator with the law in their back and the fear of being tortured and jailed and their families arrested, being able to make art, and yet you sit here in a free democracy where everything you want can be done every single day, how are you limited? If those people who have to fear for their lives can create art, why can't you? You have really to think about that. What is your excuse to not being able? And I do understand when you are depressed and you have psychological problems, and I really advise you to get therapy, and I would also advise you to travel a little bit because this helped me. I also had problems with depression. I still have problems with depression because life is depressing at some moments, and that's okay. It's a normal state. It's not a normal state, but it's something that everybody is hit with sometimes in their life. So really get some help with that. Even then you can get help, and even then art is a really good catalyzer, or how do you say, art is a really good medium to press all that out, because paper and all these other mediums that you have, they are willing to take all that. Do you know this idea of the, how is it called? The shame puppet or the fear puppet? I don't know. It's a little puppet. You take it, you tell it all your bad things, and then I think you throw it away or you hide it under your bed. I can't remember right now, but art is like that. Just push all the bad shit in your life into your art and then put it somewhere, and then get back and try to get back to happiness and openness, because you can see you can create something. Okay, let's go on to the next topic. The next topic is context, and context is very important too, because what you want to have as an artist is reference points. And with context, I'm not just meaning the positive things about art. So don't only look at the things that make you happy, and don't just look at, I don't know, Disney and Ghibli studios and I don't know, whatever inspires you, the good artists that you really like, because if you have something and most people enjoy it, it means it doesn't go very deep. It's kind of shallow, because if a lot of people like it, it has to be connecting to a lot of strings, to a lot of minds, to a lot of emotions and experiences, and fit with that. So you have to have like an artistic key that fits in a lot of different locks of these different minds. Okay, this is a really bad example, but you know what I mean. So sometimes, or pretty often actually, art or good art is concerned with rather things that are complicated, painful, maybe depressing, that are errors or things that should be changed, because in these things, if you're an artist, you want to be about things that you can improve in life and society and mankind and politics and philosophy and all these kind of things. So you are rather concerned with the problems than with all the things that already are happy and good. And if they already are happy and good, you might ask, why are they that way? Should we maybe change them? Is there maybe another version or better version? And how did we change and evolve? Because mankind is evolving every day. We are changing every day into new shapes of society and culture. And all of this leaves behind a long path of different variations of what our society and societies and culture and cultures and subcultures have been, and deconstructing them and looking at them and understanding why they acted in a certain way, especially if these things are out of the ordinary, unexpected, really strange and mysterious. It's very interesting to look into them and understand how these things came to be. And we have some really freakish stuff going on in our culture that are very interesting to look at. A lot of freakish stuff happening in religion, for example. If you think about, what is it called? I think the communion, where you drink Jesus' blood. Really? That is very strange. You drink the blood of another human being in the form of wine. How did this come to be? And why would you drink blood? Why not something else? And then what is the benefit of that? Because And to think about this, to understand this, and I'm not ridiculing this, I'm really thinking if people like this kind of stuff, they are entitled to do that, they should enjoy that, maybe keep it to their own, not telling other people they should do it too, and if they don't, they are bad people, because this is not a good choice. But doing these things and understanding these things and understanding where they came from is really important to understanding who we are and why we do things. And this is also the fabric and the material that art comes from. So context is really, really important. So what I want to say is, don't just do things. Things become a lot more interesting when you question them and when you try to understand them. And you can just start with very simple things like, where did the camera came from? And this history of the camera is very interesting, and it's very connected to art and to painting and how it changed painting, but it's also connected to our understanding of philosophy, religion, and politics. I give you a little example. For example, we have a central perspective, and central perspective is it's you can say it's more of a Western thing, and it has to do with monotheism. It also has to do with having a king as the one only ruler. Because the king was the voice, from him everything was seen, and also in the theater you had this place in the middle where the king or the ruler would sit, and all the other people would sit around with worse places, so everything at the theater was built to be specifically awesome for this one place where the ruler is sitting, all this kind of thing. And when you think I'm talking crazy stuff right now, we have a lot of cultures on our planet that don't have central perspective. They have other understandings of art, like the Japanese art or a lot of African art or art before central perspective was invented. Was not about that, and they had other understandings of art, and for them, for example, it was really made sense that things have been different in size, like the people on the pictures, not because of the perspective, but because of the social standing, and that made a lot of sense to them, because this was really explaining how the world works. And our pictures, if you take a picture where the people are all the same size and the only difference is perspective, you don't have these kind of descriptions, so the culture is not woven into the construct of the picture. All of this is very interesting, and I think I'm getting out of my topic and into details that are too much details for this episode. So the thing that I want to say is context is really important. And take context from whatever medium you want. You don't have to have context. For example, as a photographer, you don't need to have context from other photographers if you don't want to. It's good to look at other photographers, but you can also take context, for example, from movies or music or clothing or architecture or design patterns or religion or whatever you want to have. Sometimes, for example, if you mix your context and you get context from a completely different reference, it's getting a lot more interesting. For example, if you base all of your photography on music, different special kind of music, I suppose it might be more interesting than if you would base your photography on other photographers. And the reason for that is musicians have found a creative and artistic solution for their problem in music, but you have to reinvent and translate that into photography. While when you would reference other photographers, they found artistic solutions in their work, and you are much more tempted to copy their artistic solutions for your own work, not going through the same process. And you might think now I'm contradicting myself when I said before you should copy, but the important thing to know is while you should copy, you still should go through your own creative process. And this is where the loop is closing of these all different kind. And you can see a lot of those have been forms of reference. Context, friends, time, and copying and collecting. All of these are reference things that all flow into the part of doing things. And if you combine these 5 things together and try to do them every day in a certain form, like when you say, okay, I set every day half an hour or 45 minutes to the side for myself to work on these things and nothing else is going to happen in that moment, you will improve dramatically your art and your art skill. And if you say you don't have half an hour every day, I say that's bullshit, because I know you have time. For example, on the way to your work and back, I'm pretty sure you take 15 minutes to work and 15 minutes back at least. So in that time, you can do some art. You can think about art. Maybe you can sketch down some things. You can read a little bit, stuff like that. You can take some photos, maybe a recording. You can take up some inspirations, and maybe later when you come home at night, you find another half an hour to do some things, to execute some ideas. And by the way, here's the last point that I forgot to say in the beginning. Don't just do sketches. Try to finish every work that you start, even if you know that the finished result is not what you wanted, because when it's finished, first of all, you can forget about it, you can put it out of your mind. And secondly, a sketch is never realized. The sketch is always opened, and you can't critique yourself as well on a sketch as you could on a finished work. So it's really important to finish the work, and even if it's shit, you have some things to look at, to talk about, to reference, to learn from, to avoid next time, stuff like that. So while you collect a lot of stuff and do sketches, if you find something that you like, try to finish that work every single time, even if you know it's bad. Okay, thank you very much for this episode, for watching and listening all to my tutorials, and see you in the next episode. And like I said, behind the scenes is a reward for my patrons. I do a new one every 10 days. And of course, if you support me, you get the full collection of all the episodes that I've collected thus far or created thus far. Thank you very much. See you in the next episode. Bye.